Hello and welcome to another edition of Have You Heard of Me here on JLJ Media. I'm your host, James Lott Jr. We cover things from the 70s, 80s, and 90s of things you may not have known or heard of in the movie industry. It is Oscar weekend. Academy Awards are tomorrow night. So Hollywood, LA is gearing up for that. We're getting excited. So I want to give you another piece of Academy Award trivia. In 1984, well, first of all, I would do that. The whole history of this actual category is a little crazy because it kind of changes titles and names and a little bit in the meaning. The meaning kind of stays the same, but it moves around in name. And so we're talking about what I'm talking about is the 1984 Best Song Score nominees, which I'll talk about later. Well, originally it was called Best Original Score and debuted in 1939. From 1942, a little bit, it was called Best Music Score of a Dramatic Picture, Best Scoring of a Musical Picture, Best Original Dramatic Score, and Best Original Musical or Comedy Score. That's throughout the years. Best Original Song Score was the title at one point. Best Adaptation Score. Oh, yes. Very much. So there were only 3 nominees, which always strikes me weird that of all the movies, of all the land that came out that year, why there are only 3. Now, of course, the Oscars are also partially political in terms of who gets nominated, who gets into the nomination part, who gets into the Academy. I'm sure there are plenty of movies that had great scores that it just were like they weren't good enough, probably, and I'll say it in air quotes, or just weren't popular enough, so they didn't manage to go out. And in some categories are always like there are 5 nominees every category. And in some years you're like there's 6, and some years there's 3. And I would hear sometimes if there's an abundance, like there was a tie in the voting, so it turns out that there's 6 people. It's all over the place. I have Oscar books to tell you about all kind of stuff. You should check those out about different things. But this one only had 3. 3 interesting ones. Okay. The first one was Prince and the Revolution's Purple Rain. Now, unless you live under a rock the last 50 years, you know what Purple Rain is. You know it's a movie that starred Prince. It was his first film. It starred Prince. He was in it. He did all the music, of course. And with that one, songs like Let's Go Crazy, When Doves Cry, Computer Blue, Darling Nikki, which got lots of attention, of course. Take Me With You with Apollonia. Baby, I'm a Star, I Would Die for You. Purple Rain, of course. I mean, so that was a huge Computer Blue. It was a huge album. The album put Prince literally in a worldwide map. He had been kind of inching up. And it's hard to believe this because Prince is a superstar, but at the time he was still building his reputation. And then Purple Rain, the album was like number 1, 37 consecutive weeks on the charts. I mean, it was a huge hit. And of that, When Doves Cry were number 1. When Doves Cry, little trivia if you ever played Jeopardy or something, or trivia, is the first song to go number 1 that had no bass in it. Listen to the song. The song has no bass in it. It's the craziest thing. It's such a great, When Doves Cry is such a great song. There's no bass in the song. All songs have bass and treble in them. There's no bass. It's just such a genius of Prince. Let's Go Crazy, number 1. Top 10 hits. I think it was I Would Die for You. Top 20 hits, 20 or 25 hits. Take Me With You. Purple Rain was a top 2 hit. So he had hits off of it. So it was Prince. So he did, this thing. Another nominee was from a movie called Songwriter that starred Chris Christopherson and Willie Nelson together. It was released at Columbia Records in 1984. The songs on the record are duets, 5 sung by Nelson and 4 sung by Christopherson. Now, Chris Christopherson, of course, was funny because he was also a singer, songwriter, and actor, and we knew him from A Star Is Born, Barbra Streisand in the 70s, which she won an Oscar of Best Song for You and I Can Make Each Night a First, Every Day a Beginning. She won for Evergreen. Her and Paul Williams covered that song, and they won the Best Academy Award. I believe it was 76 or 77. I can't remember for sure, but they won for that. But he co-starred with her in that, A Star Is Born. So he's no, thanks to Oscars, no thanks to Oscars. How do you feel about Fooling Around? Was released as a single and reached the country charts. So there was that. Songs including, how do you feel about Fooling Around? Songwriter, Who Will Buy My Memories? Write Your Own Songs. Nobody Said It Was Going to Be Easy. Good Times. Eye of the Storm. Crossing the Border. Down to Her Socks. Under the Gun, and Final Attraction. Like that. Then the next album is like, so you got those two, like, okay, these are 2 powerhouse or 3 powerhouse performers who are all stars. But then you get, the next one is The Muppets Take Manhattan, which I just chuckled because I'm thinking that's so funny. It's like those 2, and then this project, which is nothing really to laugh at, because putting together musical stuff, whether it's for a cartoon or Muppets or anything, you still have to come up with songs. You still have to come up with songs that make sense, that for whatever story you're trying to tell. And they had a lot of songs. And that was Jeff Moss, Ralph Burns did most of it, most of this. And let's see, and so there was sung by different people, of course, like Miss Piggy and Kermit and all that. Songs like Together Again, You Can't Take No for an Answer, Saying Goodbye, Rat Scat, Something Cooking, Together Again, Carriage Ride, I'm wrong people, I'm Gonna Always Love You, the William Tell Overture, Looking for Kermit, Right Where I Belong, Somebody's Getting Married, Waiting for the Wedding, He'll Make Me Happy, The Ceremony, and then the closing credits. And it was, I mean, so we got, and so that, that's something you put together, and it's just, to me, it's just as important as anything else. These are all soundtracks to movies. But it's just funny that that's for that type of project, where these 2 were, one was like a semi-autobiographical thing, rock, the other was kind of country, 2 guys, and then the Muppets. So those are the 3 nominated that evening. So I always wonder for each of them, of those nominees, what do they think? Do you go in going, I'm not going to win? The Muppets are going to get it. You're thinking family-friendly entertainment, right? Or you think Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, those are like Americana, roots, they're going to win it. And then Prince was kind of an outlaw on some level. He was still he was part of the almost mainstream, but he didn't do interviews back then. Remember, Prince was very secret, do interviews back then. Darling Nikki was a very controversial song. I was thinking, I thought he wouldn't win. They would give Prince an Oscar. The winner for Best Song Score in 1984 goes to Purple Rain, music and lyrics by Prince Rogers Nelson, Prince and the Revolution. And Prince, I was shocked. That was a huge Prince. I was like, oh my goodness. He goes to the stage in his purple outfit with the cape and hoodie, and Wendy and Lisa go up there with him. And it was just like, wow, he doesn't say that much, just a few things, but his full Prince mystique was in full view, but he won an Oscar. Prince was Oscar winner Prince. Isn't that funny? But I think everybody knows that part, but I wanted people to know there were 2 other nominees. Now it's Chris Christopherson, Willie Nelson, and then the Muppets. And and I always, when I look at some of these things, the fascinating part is the other nominees who don't make it, because you're thinking, well, what movie is that from? I'm going to Take My Hat was a big hit. It was a hit movie, of course. But just, you always wonder, like, well, we know what Prince and Purple Rain has gone on to infamy. But these other 2 albums aren't mentioned that much. So my personal thing is, I'm going to listen to actually both these albums. I went and downloaded them on Spotify, and I'm going to listen to them and take a listen and celebrate them, because they were deemed Oscar worthy enough to be nominated. So there's a little something for you. I love doing this. I love doing the show. Please subscribe. We're on all social media. We're on all platforms on audio, from Spotify, iHeartRadio to Apple. And we're on YouTube. Some episodes are on YouTube, not all of them, but some are on YouTube. We do some video, but we mostly do audio, but we'll have some video on there. And that's on YouTube, JLJ Media. More episodes to come. Check out our other podcasts that do this, do things in old Hollywood. Some Like a Classic by Tammy Govea, and Forgotten Hollywood, of course, by Doug has our huge hit. Everyone, please enjoy the Oscars, and we will talk next time.